Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturning. It's always a question of how do you get wood, and I like to turn green wood, but sometimes green wood's hard to get. For example, this mesquite does not grow in the area that I live in, and a while back I made a piece out of mesquite that I had obtained, and I complained that it doesn't grow here. Well, Mark out of the Phoenix area said, hey, I've got plenty, and as it turns out, I was making a trip down there in a month, so I actually got some. So this is a vase. I turned it green. It took a little while to dry, and then we finished it. There's another question I'd like to pose to you all today, and that is, for a vase like this, in my feeling, I kind of like the natural wood and more of a matte finish. But I know others of you like to have a nice shiny mirror finish on this. Which one are you, and why do you like shiny, or why do you like matte type finishes? So that's the question. To shine or not to shine? That is the question.
Last fall, I turned some mesquite and bemoaned the fact that mesquite does not grow here in Utah where I live now. Mark sent me an email saying he has plenty in Arizona. As it turned out, I had a car trip planned to visit my son in Mesa, Arizona. We got together, and I hauled a bunch of mesquite home. I've mounted a whole section of wood between centers on my lathe. Ordinarily, I would not turn an entire trunk, especially with the pith still in it. However, mesquite is quite a stable wood, being very dry by nature, and I plan to bore out the pith anyway. With my large bull gouge, I can fairly quickly turn off the bark and the sapwood, then start to shape the wood into a large vase. But before going very far, I need to cut a tenon for a more secure mount. That's about all I want to do right now before I can have a secure access. Now with the mount secure in my chuck and with live center support, I continue to shape the wood into a large vase shape. I'm still using my large bowl gouge. It is interesting to see the color change with each fresh cut. Then the color changes as the fresh wood dries. Then I make another cut, and so on. With my shape, I'm cutting another tenon on the top. We'll see later if I can incorporate it into the top features. But for now, I need it for another mount. Even wet, this mesquite is hard, tough wood. Taking a hint from my machinist friends, I'm drilling the center hole in stages. First with a smaller bit, then larger bits and deeper. Fortunately, my Forstner bit is larger than the chuck that holds it. I can bury the bit and the chuck in the wood to go really deep without a wobbly extension. I'm hollowing from the bottom so that I can possibly have a small hole in the top and still a larger hole through which to hollow. We'll see how it works out. Boring with the Forstner bit is not enough. I want to hollow this vase to near final dimensions. I don't expect the mesquite to shrink and warp very much. Boring makes room for chips, making the hollowing much easier to do. I've set up my deep hollowing rig together with a USB borescope camera connected to my phone that indicates where the cutter is relative to the vase edge. The camera gives me confidence in the hollowing so that I can ream out the center without blowing through the side. Then put the wood in a brown paper grocery bag to dry for a couple of months. That is all this mesquite needs. The bag gives it its own microclimate to retard it from drying too fast and unevenly. Now that the wood is dry, of course the first thing to do is to recut the tenon to remove any distortion from the wood drying. It has not shrunk very much, but I have to do it anyway to be sure. Now to refine the opening in the bottom through which I hollowed the vase. I need to glue in a plug to close the bottom of the hole. Since the wood is hanging out far from the chuck, I'm mounting my DIY steady rest. Otherwise, it is likely to jump out of the chuck. I check for parallel sides using a straight item and siding to the lathe ways. I found another small piece of mesquite for the bottom plug. It is almost too small, but will do. I cut a tenon on it, then remounted it into the chuck. Then fit it to the opening in the vase. As usual, this is a cut, test, and so on until it fits. The worst thing would be to overcut, and I don't have very much wood to spare. So easy does it. Then apply glue and let it dry thoroughly. The lathe helps keep the axes aligned. While still between centers, I can refine the exterior profile. My preference here is a shear cut with my large bowl gouge. There is little warpage that I need to remove. Beyond the minimal warpage, I only want to refine the curve. But before I finish shaping the exterior, I need to finalize the neck and mouth. Right now, it looks like my small hole missed the pith, which is still a little to one side. I need to expand the mouth to take out the remaining pith and a couple of small cracks. At one point, I'm cutting back towards myself. To make it easier, I go round to the other side of the lathe for a minute or two. My speed is slow with the steady rest. Cutting is slower. Finally, remove the steady rest, bring up a cone live center, and finish the exterior profile before sanding the vase. I want to be very careful while parting off this vase. It is large and a little heavy, so I do not want to part it off completely and hope to catch it. I also want to shape the base of the vase as much as possible while still mounted to the lathe. With my spindle gouge, I waste away the tenon to get access and undercut the base for a cove. I also cut a groove over the glue joint to further disguise the plug. Finally, I dare go no further and saw it off. To clean up the foot, I'm carving off and sanding the nub with a rasp in my right angle tool. Then sand the area to a final finish. As I give it a good bath in walnut oil, I wonder if this vase should be shiny or matte finish. The walnut oil will leave a matte finish. Buffing would yield a shiny finish. So, is this vase saying, "Shine me," or "Let me be"? Which do you hear? To me, the mesquite is pretty as is. Would shining it be gilding the lily? I love turning green wood even if I have to wait months for a finished project. I'll leave the instant gratification to smaller projects turned from dry wood. I also do not mind cheating by hollowing from a larger hole in the bottom. So, did I cheat? Or is true wood turning mean hollowing through the smallest possible hole? Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe on my website, tell your friends, and send me your comments and questions. Every week I make a new wood turning video and add to the over 400 videos to choose from on my website. Please wear your full face shield anytime the lathe is running. Until next week's video, this is Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns.